and let me know if we're doing good.
Give me just a moment. It's doing things. Still doing things. We're good.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me and all of our friends for the August King County Democrats Central Committee meeting. It's a pleasure to see you all on Zoom tonight. Thank you very, very much for being here. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous August day, and I know it's extra hard to sit inside when it's warm out and the evening blue sky is beckoning us. Makes it all the more valuable that you've chosen to be here together. Thank you. Thanks very much. As it is 6:31, I'd like to go ahead and call our meeting to order. We'll continue to let people in as they come along, but I wonder if I could ask our first Vice Chair, Josh Vaughn, if he might offer us our acknowledgement of ancestral lands.
Absolutely, I'd love to. And I'll put on the screen here just so everyone can also read along here if they'd like to. Um, we acknowledge that our King County communities are built on ancestral and traditional land of the Coast Salish people. We also recognize that the United States removal, termination, and assimilation policies and practices resulted in the forced settlement of Indigenous lands and the attempted erasure of Indigenous cultures and languages. We further acknowledge the oppression, injustices, and discrimination that Indigenous people have endured, and that there is much work to be done on the important journey to reconciliation. We commit to strengthen our understanding of the history and contemporary lives of Indigenous peoples and to steward this land. We further recognize the many Indigenous people living here today, including the Muckleshoot Indian tribe and Snoqualmie Indian tribe, as well as Duwamish and Suquamish nations, have rich ancestral histories in King County. Today, their descendants remind us that they are still here, where they maintain a vital and visible presence. We honor and respect the enduring relationship between these peoples and this land, as well as the strength of Indigenous culture and knowledge, the continued existence of tribal sovereignty, and the principle of tribal self-determination. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Some months that hits me even harder than others, and this was one of those. Thank you. I'd like to proceed in our agenda as noticed in the meeting and attached with adopting the agenda and then by approval of the July meeting minutes. Okay, can everybody see the agenda on their screen? Nothing's changed, I promise. There's nothing magic there. It's the same thing that came out 3 days ago and 10 days ago. I've endeavored to, thank you, Ricky, to include more links in the agenda body as well as below. And Julie, thank you for asking for the agenda in the chat. We'll do our best. Hoping just to make it a little bit easier for everybody to find what they want, both in the body of my email as well as in the attachments. Thank you, Josh, for doing that. I really appreciate it. I have received notification that there are a couple of members who would like to add things during new business. So there will be an opportunity for that shortly. And of course, good of the order is always a great time to speak up with items of interest to the entire group. I'd like to ask now, other than acknowledgement of some new business and perhaps good of the order, if there's anything else that we've failed to add to this agenda, or any rearranging or any omissions that come from the body. Any changes you'd like to see? Any changes at all? Great. Not seeing any hands raised or hearing any voices come forward. I think by acclamation, we can accept this agenda. Thank you. Next, I'd like us to have a moment to review the meeting minutes, which were noticed 3 and 10 days ago, and prepared by our very own capable, quickest learner on the planet, Secretary Ricky Klein. Thank you very much. I know you're laughing right now, but it's true. This has been a steep curve for both Ricky and I. But we appreciate you hanging in there with us while we figure out how to do this best according to Robert's rules, as well as what are the most critical pieces to include and what's helpful. This is a record of the work that we produce in these meetings, and we want to make sure the important things and the searchable things and the things that we might need to search for in the future are included here for easy access. So we'll just scroll through that briefly. I know you guys have all had a couple of weeks to look at them and have probably had a chance to absorb it. While we're glancing at it, I'd like to mention that I think in future months, I'm considering, tell me if it's a bad idea, because again, learning quickly, but it's a steep curve. I'm considering offering a format to reply to the call to meeting and to things like the minutes that we might want to discuss or adjust in advance in case we need to have some collaboration. We can do it beforehand and then present to the body the night of. I'm trying to find ways to streamline some of that work into the background so that what comes to you during this valuable meeting time, and it's never more so than nights like this beautiful evening, so that we're using your hours here in this meeting efficiently and effectively. So let me know what you think about that idea. I'm batting it around, and now I'm batting it around with all of you guys as our executive board. Any questions on these minutes? Any errors spotted or changes needed? Anything at all? Not hearing any objection.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Andrea, thank you so much. Andrea moves to approve the minutes, and do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Mary. I appreciate you both. And do I hear any objections? Any concerns? Seeing no objections, with that motion and a second, I think by acclamation, we can approve these minutes. Thank you. Awesome. I noticed Ricky's head go down with his pen and he's scribbling that one out. And so we've got it noted. Thank you. And Kat, man, oh man, are you testing out that amazing timer or what? That's the coolest. Thank you to Aaron Schrader for that. Okay, well, we've zipped through. We are now up to our committee reports. And our first report would typically be presented by Melissa Taylor, who is our vice chair for fundraising and the head of our school board power teams. But as you've noticed the last couple of months, Melissa has been in Australia and visiting with her family there and unable to be with us, occasionally corresponding, but she is doing an amazing job of holding down the fort, running her business and traveling with her family and not dealing with the time zone for us. So we completely understand that and kind of secretly wishing I had a little family in Australia as well. But the update from fundraising and the school board power teams is that the fundraising piece has gone extraordinarily well. We've had some very nice, very large gifts, and it's really buoyed our spirits and has caused other people to feel really great about contributing as well. With that money, we have spent a little bit already. We did a text banking effort for our school board candidates who are facing strong Moms for Liberty challenges. In fact, in the primary, we had 11 endorsed school board candidates. 9 are proceeding to the general, which is amazing. All of those candidates came out of the school board power team effort of literally cold calling people, have you considered running for office? So we really applaud them for being so brave, so brave. And thank you to Kevin Nichols for your amazing slicing and dicing of vote builder information, and for the power teams themselves for identifying likely candidates within the district who could serve at that level and have interests that collide with ours as well. They were amazing picks. Additionally, we have 6 races coming up in November, so we'll have 15 school board candidates to support. But in the primary, we text banked into 6 districts for 11 candidates and sent over 36,000 texts that Jen Askew from the Tahoma School District and LD5 managed a small team of folks to respond to those text messages and to gather voter support. She, not being somebody who loves to receive those text messages, was again quite bold to step up and run that program, and came away astounded at how many people wanted to interact and wanted to learn about their candidates. Right. Kind of made me super happy too. So it was worth spending some of those fundraised dollars to interact with voters who were Democrats, but lower propensity. And we did a little bit of a study of type of messaging into specific precincts. So we're waiting on the analysis, comparing it with similar precincts that did not receive text banking. And I hope by October to be able to share with you, perhaps even September, especially if Melissa's back, to share with you the results of the analysis. But our first impression is that the text banking was helpful for our candidates, and that all that effort was well worth it. Many of our candidates took advantage of professional headshots, and quite a few took advantage of professional writers helping them with their candidate statements. And we're looking forward now to assisting these candidates with the next round of candidate forums, now that we know who's come out of the primary and moving to the general election. So that's the exciting piece about the school board power teams. We feel really strong about our ground game. We feel really strong about our recruiting. And I feel like next time we could take it to the next level. We did a lot of good learning with that. And next year, these teams will be motivated to help us as we will be working on all of our House seats as well. Another piece of learning that happened over the last couple of months is that folks do not want to meet in person very much right now. And that was quite a surprise. I have called dozens every single day, and that's part of the success with the fundraising. But in one case, a very kind donor ended up tripling their gift and asked on my last iteration of the ask, if they gave me more money, would it be okay if they did not attend an event? And this became a bit of a theme in those phone calls, and I understand it. I understand that we rescheduled this event. This is its 3rd date. I understand that COVID is surging and people are cautious. And I understand that in September, we've all kind of got our heads down and we're getting back to business, whether it's back to school or settling in after summer fun or whatever it is. Folks are not really wanting to be in person right now. Because of that, I've made the command decision in coordination with our treasurer and with a number of other officers and with our key donors, as well as with our elected officials, that we're going to cancel having an in-person meeting. I understand that this means that we may have some donors who are wanted to attend and would like to have their gift back. That's okay. We're going to save quite a bit of money by not providing catering and other things that are going to happen in the room. And that will allow us to spend more on the candidates and devote more of our energies toward canvassing and supporting them. It's a very hard decision to come to, but without being able to have a significant program to share with them and a sizable number of people in the room to build the enthusiasm, it felt like a logical step to take. So I'd like to open the floor, and I see Mary's got her hand up. I'm so glad to answer questions and to talk about this moment we sit in right now. So thank you for raising your hand, Mary, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure you're talking about the school fundraiser on Sunday, September 14th, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'd hope to be 3 to 5 at Highline College, and I'd hope to have a preamble of Pramila's resistance lab training. But that was even challenging for them, and they're not in an election season right now. But all heads are laser focused on dealing with the issues we're having working with our federal government. Very hard to call it anything else right now. And also with our state's response to it. So although our state electeds are not in session, there is a lot of work happening behind the scenes to protect our students, our teachers, um, and all of us as residents here, whether we're citizens or not, doesn't matter, just all of us as humans. And for those of you who are able to join me and many others last weekend at the protest at the Geo facility in Tukwila, it is quite serious. So I'm glad that that's where focus is, and I'm glad that we're able to spend a little bit of time, even if it's not in person at Highline College on September 14th. We're able to spend that focus electing amazing people who will serve our students and our teachers well on their individual school boards. Thank you for the clarifying question, Mary. Are there any other thoughts or questions? Is there anything more that I can offer to you? Please raise your hand or just come off of mute and speak up. Okay, well, thank you for sitting with me in a moment of disappointment for me, and in solidarity for our school board candidates. I'm so pleased by how well they did, and I'm so looking forward to launching canvases in all of their districts, and I hope to see many of you there. I am super excited to canvass for Damaris Espinoza in the Highline School District. I'm looking for loads of help for Natalie Anderson, the Issaquah School District, who is facing a very challenging race against Chinmay Nagankar, who is a very intense Moms for Liberty candidate, but is such a charming man. You would never know it if you just ran into him at the grocery store, and all of the others. So thank you. Thank you all. I wonder if, Diana, I saw you enter the room, if you're prepared to give the treasurer's report. I think she's thinking about it. Hi, Diana. What do you think? Hey,
Let me hit that audio. Do we have someone who is able to show the first,
Sure, I'm on it.
just the first page? I don't think we're going to need the second and the third. The good news is that operationally we are sound. We have enough in our operational surplus such that we have nothing to worry about. We're way over what we need for the surplus, and we are making incremental improvements against the surplus that we would need in order to hire staff. We could still use more. We can always use more. Staff is always, the goal, but we had a significant donation. Melissa closed out her campaign and donated the rest of the funds to us, which was nearly $20,000, half of which went to support our school board candidates, which is spectacular. That is a heck of a lot of texts that we can send out in support of those candidates. So we are looking to start increasing our base of donors. So if you know somebody who's not currently giving, who has given in the past, maybe gave on the old platform and hasn't migrated over to Act Blue, a good opportunity to get in touch with them. I'm also taking some training on how to get us bigger base that from all of the organizations that are out there, because there are a heck of a lot of people who have given to a heck of a lot of locations, and we just don't have their names yet. So there's I'm doing what I can. So every little bit helps. That is it for this month.
Thank you, Diana. I think at one point we talked about making some budgetary adjustments that needed a vote. Would that be tonight or next month?
That will be next month.
Okay, super. We'll be sure that we have that prepped to notice well in advance.
Yes,
Great.
absolutely.
I appreciate that so much. And thank you for helping me remember all the stuff. It's a lot. It's a lot to remember. Okay, next up, there's my agenda, is the PCO committee report. I know that Amy was in transit tonight. I haven't had a chance to look at the attendee list. Is Amy Hamrick in the room?
She's not.
Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate that so much. Well, let me tell you a little bit right now regarding Amy's stuff. We are continuing to grow our PCO ranks, which is wonderful. And I'd like to continue that even more, especially as we get closer to the election. So please, chairs and membership chairs, work closely with Amy about how best to get those through the system. We are midway to transitioning away from PandaDocs, but we haven't made the switch yet. So it's still clunky, and sometimes when you send the PCO request to Amy, she does her part and sends it back, but it appears that you're not getting notified. So until we make that full transition, which should also happen in October, let's make sure we keep an open line of communication, because who needs a paperwork backlog? That's nothing fun. Amy will also be sponsoring and promoting canvases in our key school districts and our cities. So please plan to see these dates come to your inbox, and if possible, promote them with your membership. I know that she's especially looking for assistance in, you heard me say it once before, Highline School District, Issaquah School District, City of Woodinville, LD5. And if anybody's excited about stepping outside of the county and would like to help another appointed state officer retain their seat, we would love your help canvassing for Deb Krishna Dawson. And if I'm getting that right, I think that's LD 26. I'd drive over there with anybody thank you, Tim, with anybody who wants to go. So let me know. I think that could be really fun, and we could truly make a difference. We all know that face-to-face conversation is often what puts a candidate over by just the few hundred votes they need. But Deb did great, and she won in the primary. So I think it's highly likely that we could help her sail to victory in the general. And that's what I had from Amy. Next up on our committee reports was a state committee rep report from Drew and Lisa. I know Lisa's out of town, and I'm not sure if I've seen Drew yet tonight. Today was a pretty heavy load for him at work. Doesn't look like it. So maybe we'll circle back. Oh, hi, Andrew. Would you like to ask a question? Speak up.
No, I was going to help you give some some state committee reports. If you let me share.
Absolutely. Thank you. Please do.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Some updates on the committee. The next committee meeting is September 20th weekend, and that would be, sorry, September 27th weekend, and that will be in Vancouver. We are reducing it from like a 2-day to just a 1-day event this time around. One of the things that will be on the floor to vote is the creation of councils and caucuses. There's a conversation on what's actually a caucus and what's a council. So for now, councils are issue-based committees like Progressive Committee, Agricultural Caucus, Rural Caucus, all those things will become councils. They would have 2 votes on the floor and 1 seat on the executive board. And the same thing would happen to the caucuses. So the caucuses will be Women's Caucus, the Stonewall Democrats, and the Black Caucus, and those kinds of caucuses. And it's expected to go into vote next meeting in September. And we're also working on our affirmative action goals, which was passed, and ensuring that we have a good plan and for next year's convention. Thank you.
Fantastic. Andrew, thank you for pinch hitting. That was awesome. That was super great. And I'm kind of getting excited about next year's convention, just with you dropping that little bit of good news for us. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Next up is the endorsement committee report. And I would just like to applaud us. We're 30 minutes into this meeting and we are already at endorsements. Pretty dang good. And with the endorsement committee report, we have Chair Kat Pipkin and Vice Chair Dean Rodenbow.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I will kick us off tonight. I really want to start with the great news, and that is of the 63 KC Dems endorsed candidates during the primary who were on the August ballot, 55 are making it through to November. So 87% of our candidates are moving forward. And that is really a reflection of the strong work of the committees who helped helped us through that endorsement process. There was invaluable insights from members across each of the LDs, which really shaped the endorsement discussions and got us to a strong outcome. So I think all of us can feel really good about moving forward toward November. And I want to thank everyone who played a role in that process. In conjunction with that, I also want to acknowledge that the ballot measures that have passed as well that we endorsed: the King County Prop 1, the Parks Levy, the Public Hospital District Number 2, Prop 1, Seattle Prop 1, the Democracy Voucher Renewal, and one that we considered, was not considered by KCD, but is passing, is the Shoreline School District Prop 1, which is a 1-year operations levy. So a really great track record for our phase of work so far this year. I also want to acknowledge that there are 4 races where none of our endorsed candidates placed in the top 2, and you'll notice those on the screen. The first is King County Council District 5. The endorsed candidates from our team were Kim Convon and Ryan McIrvin. The committee is not recommending any further action before the November election. Seattle City Council 2, Jamie Fackler, which is a single LD race. So if LD 37 has the opportunity to make a new endorsement if they so choose. In Tukwila, City Council 7, Christina Mann was our endorsed candidate. She did not move forward. Again, it is a single legislative district, and LD 11 can make a new endorsement if they so choose. And then finally, the Tahoma School District, District 4, we had endorsed Devin Leshin. He did not move forward. We are not recommending a committee action. The other Democratic candidate has not support our endorsement. So that is a kind of a look at the election races through the August primary. I guess I can open that up to see if there are any questions from anyone this evening before we move forward to the next part of the agenda. Mary, I see you have your hand up.
Hi, yeah, this is not actually a question, but I did want to just confirm that in the City Council 2 race for Seattle, we won't be entertaining at a LD level, we won't be entertaining those general election endorsements until September 8th. And so it doesn't look like we'll be able to take any action on that tonight.
Great. Thanks for confirming your plan. Martin, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you so much. Was that Dean, by the
Yes.
way? Oh, wonderful, Dean. Well, it's nice to meet you. I'm new to this group. I'm the new acting chair for the 30th Legislative District. If I can just get some background, I'm happy to take this offline too. Is there a reason from the endorsing committee why there's no committee action for King County Council 5?
Yes, we
Thank you.
actually had a lot of discussion about that at the time of endorsements. And the only Democratic candidate is someone who we did not think we could get a majority to pass an endorsement. Carmen, I
Thank
see you
you.
have your hand raised.
Hey everyone, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So are we taking endorsements off the floor? Because as someone who lives in D5, I think it's really essential that we actually do try to make an endorsement in this race. I'm happy to speak as to why, but I'm wondering if we have the ability to make an endorsement motion off the floor, if possible.
We will be moving toward later in this report period, committee recommendations and endorsements. So that would be the appropriate time.
Appreciate you for clarifying. Sorry about that. Thank you so much.
No problem. Tim, I see you have your hand raised.
I was wondering about an endorsement in King County District 9 against Pete Von Reichbauer.
Pete did not seek our endorsement.
Maya?
He did not seek our endorsement. He didn't fill out a questionnaire.
Okay.
So unless there's another Dem who you might want to encourage to fill out a questionnaire at this point, there's no possibility for making an endorsement in that race.
I understand. Thank you. I don't believe the questionnaire came into the 30th either on that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to give Pete a call and see if he wants our endorsement, we can certainly reopen the questionnaire for him if he chooses.
I certainly do not want Pete Von Reichbauer to get a Democratic endorsement.
Okay.
Any other questions on this initial section of our report before we move to section 2? Okay. I do want to spend a few minutes tonight and talk about the fact that our work never stops. So we are excited with the progress that we made so far this year, but we are looking forward to the second half of the year. And our committee members received a written survey to provide us with some feedback. And we also have 2 meetings scheduled. One was held Monday evening at 7 o'clock. Another one will be this upcoming Saturday at 10 a.m. And we are spending a little bit of time debriefing on what worked well and what could be better in terms of committee involvement and our approach to our work this year and moving forward. We are also working on finalizing a survey for the King Conservation District. It will be on the ballot in January, and our goal is to finalize that survey this fall. We have a draft which came together Monday evening. We'll be reviewing it again on Saturday with the team that is on board. And then the third thing that we are doing is we are kind of reconstituting our team to develop surveys for 2026 races. And we are looking for volunteers to lead development of surveys we have about 90 races. Many of them are judicial and state legislature races in 2026. But we found that it worked really well last year to get a jump on these with survey development, doing a lot of the research. so that it's very easy to make last minute updates as we get closer to making the surveys available. So if you or someone on your endorsement committee would like to participate in our process, please have them join us this Saturday at 10 a.m. We have a Zoom call. There's a link in the report that you can register to attend. If you're unable to attend, just reach out to Kat or myself, and we'd love to talk with you to get you involved. We felt really great Monday night. We had about 7 LDs represented at our call and got them signed up to provide leadership roles in terms of moving forward with survey development. And know that we are working really hard to get broad LD representation in this process. And we commend all of you leaders who are supporting your volunteers to participate. We think this is really important work. We saw from the results of the primary that it's having a meaningful impact, and we want to continue to move that forward in a positive way. So with that, I'll turn things over to Kat to speak about committee recommendations.
Thanks, Dean. Does anybody have any questions or comments on what we've done so far in the report? Okay, super. First of all, let me just mention that if any LDs have made any additional single LD endorsements, we'd love to know about it so we can pass those through for county endorsement. So just be thinking about that here while we do this next section, if you would, please, folks. Part 1 of the report, we had 2 single LD races that didn't somehow make it, entirely my fault, into the pass-through recommendation last month. That was purely an omission. Chair Baisley, again, presumed endorsement and made the presumptive action of assuming they were endorsed, and we need to ratify that decision. Madam Chair, how do you want to proceed on that?
Thank you, Kat. I appreciate that so much. These were both single jurisdiction candidates. We have no record recently of objecting to candidates that have been endorsed by their legislative district. So we went ahead to make that assumption. At this time, I would like to ask if there are any concerns about these candidates, any concerns about considering them as endorsed. And if I see none, then, excuse me, I think we'll just include them by acclamation. Any concerns about Tammy? I am not going to make the mistake of mispronouncing her last name. Martin Moore, if you can do that for me, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know you said we can speak if there's a concern. Can I just say some positive things about them?
As acting chair of the LD who made these endorsements, we'd be delighted to hear very briefly.
Oh, wonderful. I'm actually really excited. And first of all, thank you for your endorsement for as well for my other seat, position 2. But for position 4 and 6, these are fantastic community members. They're very strong. They're very compassionate. And if these 2 people can get elected, we're going to have a dynamic team on the city council and get rid of the pro-Trump type of council. So highly can't say enough positive things about Les and Tammy. I think they're just fantastic human beings. And it's a Desiac, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Tammy Desiac and Les Sessoms. And it was a pleasure to meet both of them when I attended your LD picnic. They were amazing. Everybody turned out for you. It was a great turnout. So not seeing any objections, I will assume by acclamation that we have ratified those endorsements. Thank you. And thank you, Kat, for presenting that. I'll return the floor to you for our new slate of single jurisdiction candidates and ballot measures.
Yeah, so we've got 3 known single LD endorsements to pass through this month, one of which is very new. Danielle Havens was endorsed by the 30th and as a municipal court judge. She had not previously filled in a questionnaire, so we were able to open that back up to enable her to submit a questionnaire. And now we can add Danielle into Valerie Snyder for Shoreline Council 1 and Rohanna Joshi, Young Dems, for Carnation Council Position 4. Do you want to take separate votes on that or just move through to the committee recommended races?
I'd like to go ahead and move through to the committee recommended races.
Okay, great. Before we do that, are there any other single LD races that have been endorsed by the LDs since we, or that have not yet been put on the list? Any others? Going once? Going, okay, all right. All right, if you come up with one before we vote, we can still add it in. And thanks to everybody for continuing to let us know when you make new endorsements. We have only a single race actually this month to add in on an endorsement recommendation from the committee. This is Jen LaValle. We had not previously as a county made this endorsement recommendation. So we're recommending Jen LaValle for Seattle School District Director District number 7.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. What I'd like to do next is squish my screen over so I can see more people. I have a moment of appreciation for the committee who did a lot of work on this. It was really impressive, great representation across the county. And I'd like to ask if there's any questions. I know Kat has asked a couple times before about the single jurisdiction races as a pass-through or the committee's recommendation about Jen LaValle. And again, we're only speaking about Jen. And seeing no questions, I'm going to ask folks to utilize their React button with either a green check or a red X to please approve or vote against these 1, 2, 3, 4 candidates right now. And I'd like to direct our tally and credential team lead, Alex Jones, to count our checks and X's and pop those into the chat so that we can have a recording of this vote. Thank you, Kat, it's hard to vote while you're doing screen share. So we see your green thumb right there. Super. We see a few folks, we'll give it another moment or two, a few folks who haven't had a chance to vote either way. It's totally okay to abstain, but I want to make sure the abstention is intentional. And in fact, if you are an actual abstain, maybe we go for a coffee cup. And if you are not an abstention, but are just needing to step away from the computer at the moment, you know you have our understanding. That happens. All righty. Looks pretty good. Alex, are you able to give us a count?
Yeah, so just going through, it looks like it's only voting members minus Tara right now because she lost her credential to someone else who joined from the 46. So it's 33 for and 1 abstain and none against.
Wonderful. Thank you. And if you don't mind popping that in, that would be really great. Before we move away from endorsements, on the endorsement committee report, there is a question to the endorsement committee in the chat. Kat, if you'd like to, do you have, I'm assuming you don't have more on the screen share, correct?
Nope.
Okay, great. If you don't mind taking a peek at the chat and perhaps, thank you, Alex, responding.
We have not yet had a chance to meet as a committee and discuss the Senate House SHR 8201 yet, in answer to your question, Jackie. Having finished our report, I believe more nominations might be in order, might be in consideration. But we as a committee have not yet had a chance to meet with them. We're working right now on setting up that meeting.
Jackie, do you have a moment to perhaps describe to the group, because other LDs might want to learn about this also? Can you tell us what we're looking at?
Sure. Our 33rd LD did take a position to endorse this at our last meeting. And many of you don't know that our former Senator Karen Kaiser was one of the significant leaders in the creation of the Walk-Harris legislation, which has gone through several different tweaks to improve that. And the trust fund that was set up as a part of the original Walk-Harris funds, which I'm assuming most of you know that it's a payroll tax for long-term care, and the money goes into a trust fund, which can only be invested in public funds. So that would be with exclude the stock market. Now, many people don't know that all the other trust funds that are currently invested by the Washington State Investment Board are able to be invested in the stock market. And our state has one of the highest ratings of our credit ratings because of the wonderful fiduciary job that our state boards has done. There's never been a loss. There's been a steady, I mean, obviously, people investing in the stock market can sometimes make really significant gains. That's not their goal. Their goal is to make sure that it's well balanced and that there is good returns that they can really count on continuing to maintain those. And so because there are some concerns, I mean, Senator Hasagawa has historically been very vocal in his opposition to allowing any state trust fund to be invested in the stock markets. But based on the success and the just extremely good job that our Washington State Investment Board has done previously, Karen strongly recommended that we have faith in their investment to do the same thing with the Walk-Harris Trust Fund. And so we did go ahead and endorse it. And I can tell you that Karen was not at our meeting in, let's see, we didn't meet in July, so it would have to have been June, in which she was not there to respond to people's concerns. And so we held off the vote until she was able to be there to talk about it, because she really felt like she had enough information and enough respect from our members to go ahead and go with her recommendation. So I could try to respond to some questions if anybody had it, but that's the reason why I'm probably going to be making well, if there's motions off the floor, I'm probably going to go ahead and do it. We'll see.
Hi, Kat. Thanks for raising your hand. And before I move on to you, Kat, I'd just like to say a quick thank you to Jackie, who without any forewarning jumped in and gave a really awesome overview. Thank you, Jackie, for off the top of your head being super well prepared. Thank you. Okay, Kat, you're up, and then Tara.
Yeah, so I dropped some information that we have currently just while we're waiting as a committee to meet and discuss with either Libby or Anna Ascanio with SEIU, who's the campaign manager for it. So there's a little bit of information in the chat. I also dropped in, they have an endorsement form for LDs or organizations who are interested in endorsing. So just wanted to call everybody's attention to that. Oh, thank you, Hannah, very much.
Awesome, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Hannah. Tara, you have the floor.
So what just real briefly is the advantage or disadvantage to investing or not investing these monies in the stock market?
I'd like to pass the
That's
baton to Jackie, please.
I was just gonna, yes. The problem with the trust fund itself is that a significant amount of people have been able to and will qualify for benefits. And the fear is that drain the trust fund enough that in order to keep it financially solvent, the only option left under the current legislation is to increase the payroll tax. And that's not a good thing for workers. And so the only other option to keep the trust fund solvent into the future is to allow the fund to be invested in the stock market. So it's not really it's not an either or, but if it is not invested in the stock market, the risk is that the payroll tax would have to be increased relatively in the near future because of the financial reports that have already been released by the trust fund. So that's the reason why this, and I should also mention, for those who don't know, 4 years ago, Karen Kaiser sponsored and was able to move this forward for a constitutional. It is an amendment to the Constitution to allow this, and it failed 4 years ago. And one of the reasons why I think is because 4 years ago there was still a lot of problems with the stock market, a lot of problems with investments, and throughout all of the problems with the banking failures, with all of the, the recessions over the last 20 years, again, the record of the Washington State Investment Board has just been super. So again, that's the reason why most people feel very, very confident that that's the solution rather than to increase the payroll tax.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Tara, did that help answer the question?
Actually, that brought up another question, and then I have a question after that. But what is the constitutional amendment amending if other trust funds are already investing in the stock market? What is the issue that is unique to this one that's being amended?
This is a special trust fund that's not currently invested by the state board. So the amendment is to add it into those funds that are invested by the state board. And so it's a thing with the Constitution.
Okay, and can I do one more? Sorry to hog, but I have a lot of
Live it
questions.
up. Live it up.
So the board that is handling investments, I mean, are there limits to what sort of companies are invested in?
That's a good question. Many years ago, I actually heard a report from the woman who was chairing the investment board at the time. You should know, I can tell you this, the people who work for the state of Washington and receive pensions from the state of Washington pay into some of their pension funds. And if the investment by the state board on behalf of the funds that the state invested was not maintained enough, then the individuals in those different PERS and TERS funds would have to ramp up their investment in their own pension funds. And for over 20 years, they have not had, well, I can't say over 20 years because I think there was over 10 years ago, some time when they had to. But in the most recent time, there has not been any increases in those people who are currently not retired, but putting money into those funds because the state board has managed those funds with their investments enough to keep them so that the workers don't have to raise their contributions. So I can tell you that most people who there were a couple of state employees members in our conversation and spoke on behalf of that, how they really felt that their trust funds, which were handled by the Washington State Trust Fund, were, you know, being done in a really good way. But I don't think that there's any restrictions on what they can or can't. I think it's a question of they just have it's how they're invested and how they treat them so that they're consistent instead of trying to and well balanced to maintain a steady flow of income versus a lot of younger investors who their goal is to really get a lot of income coming in quickly when they're young so that they then can, you know, change their investment to a more balanced portfolio when they're closer to retirement to hang on to it. That's sort of the balanced portfolio. So it's more of how they look at what kind of return they're trying to get as managers of the trust fund.
I have learned so much already. Jackie, wow. Thank you. I see two more hands. Do you feel ready for a couple more?
I can let you know if I don't think I know the answer.
Okay, when you hit the wall, you just say the word.
Okay.
Bunny followed by Tim.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe Tara had a slightly different question, the one that I have, which is, are there restrictions on what stocks they can invest in? Or could those funds be invested in fossil fuels and nuclear energy companies?
I can tell you that our state currently has no restrictions based on that sort of philosophy. I know there are some states that do. Our state doesn't have any
Okay.
restrictions on basically a philosophical basis. No,
That
those
surprised me.
restrictions
Okay,
don't
thank
exist.
you.
Thank you. Also, very good learning. Hi, Tim. I see you have a question for not me, but Jackie.
No, actually, I have a motion.
Well, Tim, you have the floor.
I move to postpone deliberations on this until the next meeting when we might be able to get the state treasurer or Senator Kaiser to come and speak directly to us on it.
Second.
Thank you, Martin. Are there any concerns with a postponement, which is actually a continuation of the conversation and a little bit more learning for the full group? That would be in September. Seeing no concerns, none at all. I'm going to, hi, Kat, thank you for raising your hand.
Hi, I was just going to say the committee can make every effort to have had a conversation about this prior and if appropriate, bring forward a committee recommendation, which would make the job on the floor a little bit easier.
I think that would be great. And I think we would really recommend your committee's wisdom. And I think anytime we have the opportunity to hear from some experts on it, we can all do some learning. So that would be magnificent. And in fact, perhaps, Kat, maybe I could pass that to-do item to you for when you're asking to speak with some folks about that bill. Could you also seek out a speaker for us next month?
Happy to.
Appreciate that very much. Wonderful. Then I will assume by acclamation and by having those two to-dos that we'll continue this conversation in a month. Thank you, everybody. And Jackie, thank you for bringing a really amazing amount of expertise to the room. That was awesome. I wish you could get a round of applause, but it's deafening in a Zoom room. But it's out there. It's out there. Thank you. Super duper. So I think at that point we have concluded the endorsement committee's report, correct? Nothing more from the endorsement committee at this time. Wonderful. I noticed that Drew came into the meeting and missed a very lovely adjunct state committee report presented by Andrew. And I wonder if there was anything particularly related to the DSAP that Drew might want to add, because I don't think Andrew touched on that as much as all of the other things that have been happening at the state committee. Drew, an impromptu moment.
Yeah, no problem. So sorry for being late, of course. But there isn't much on delegate selection. There are a couple pieces coming down the pike in terms of amendments that the state office is bringing forward and notified rules of. They're all pretty minor. The first one being that because of a venue search, basically the entire delegate selection process is getting scooted back a week, other than when filing opens. So filing for delegate will still open on January 1. The rest of everything else is essentially scooted back. So we went from a March 8th election date to a March 1st election date. And then every subsequent action from there is back a week. So that'll have to be ratified at the September meeting. But the relevant piece there that is the spoiler is with that change in date, it is to accommodate a Spokane convention. So it's at the Spokane Convention Center is the current expectation, which I know will be a lot for many of us. But if you are considering running for delegate, I would start thinking about carpools or start thinking about the direct flight into Spokane earlier rather than later for that portion. Other than that, there is another sort of pretty weedsy amendment coming down from the state office about how to handle what happens to resolutions when they are submitted in duplicate. So what to do if 5 resolutions all pass the same resolution as part of their 2, because for folks who to remember, you get 2 resolutions per legislative district. Oftentimes, organizations will shop specific topic resolutions, and then they'll pass in multiple districts. So basically, it's a provision for what happens when that happens, and then if there are duplicates that are identical, essentially legislative districts are going to get those resolutions refunded, so they get to submit an additional resolution. So for folks who may be doing delegate selection work or delegation work, keep that in the back of your mind. Other than that, nothing interesting really on that front. The only other pieces just to throw out on state committee, I'm not sure if Andrew touched on. I would be, I guess, which Andrew is it? Andrew Villeneuve?
Ashley Boo.
Okay, great. Andrew Villeneuve may have touched on this one, but I don't think Ashiofu would have. The other thing is just 2 meetings ago, I mentioned that I would be putting forward a rules package for revision on the procedures for vacancies. That package is now closing in on complete. I have sort of a large package put together that is just under review from the state office to see if they have any concerns before formal submission. So I put out a call if you're interested in that topic and that discussion 2 months ago to get in touch. If you are still interested or didn't reach out last time, please do reach out. I'm happy to provide a red line of everything that we're looking at changing, but it's a pretty extensive set of changes on those procedures for vacancies. Again, those are rules governing what happens when a legislator resigns or dies in office. So the replacement of that legislator. They're not vacancies in any of your offices. And then other than that, I think it's probably been noted, but we did submit a grant for the state committee's finance grants, LPO grants. So as King County and for a town hall and translation service, that is in the pipeline, in the tubes of the state party, and I do not know where it is at this point. So I will report back when I hear more.
Thanks, Drew. I was just going to ask if you had any insight as to what that decision timeline is? I'm sure all the
Nope.
LDs who also put in requests are wondering similarly. Sounds like not so much. I do want to give an extra shout out about something that you just kind of glossed over, like it was super in the weeds and not a big deal, but it's actually a really big deal. Drew and I'm sure a team went with a fine-tooth comb through the appointment process details. And after 6 LDs this cycle, a lot of knowledge was gained. That process had not been exercised quite so much ever before. And the proposed changes really do a lot to clean up how the process works and runs. And I have a lot of gratitude. Having been in 5 of those LD meetings with Drew, he is truly the expert, and I'm very grateful that he took the extra time instead of just running screaming from the room to actually sit down and think about how can we make it easier for next time around. So thank you, Drew, very much. And for those of you who attend the state committee meetings, you have some really, really good work to look forward to hearing about when Drew presents there, when the time comes. So thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's my pleasure. I want those rules to be good and would be a waste to not use so many opportunities that we learned from to implement some of those changes.
And as always, there are things that we don't see until we have to go through it. And I know that we're working on that now with our own rules and bylaws, where sometimes they're in conflict only because we'd never experienced some of life's proceedings, and now we know. So we'll make adjustments. Thank you for doing that on behalf of the full state. Really appreciate that. Unless there are other officers who have committee reports they'd like to share, and I don't think we have many left, I'd like to proceed to new business. And the first order of new business, as noticed in the agenda that I sent out, is a proposed order of vice chairs. This does require a vote. This is one of those funny rules that was added into our KCDEM's bylaws that it's really hard for a brand new chair to have read so closely to realize, wowza, we actually need to vote on the order of those vice chairs who we gave jobs to. And I'm sure that is because there will be times when the chair is out, as will happen in September. Just so you guys know, I'll be totally off the grid, like off the grid, as I am paddling through the Grand Canyon from dam to dam on the Colorado River. So no connection. So sorry, you're on your own. But I'm leaving you in the very good hands of our first vice chair, Josh Vaughn. Beyond that, those vice chairs, they're just running roughshod, doing fundraising and doing outreach and doing the best comms this county party has ever seen. So I really appreciate them. And now we are here to discuss if we need to or approve of the order in which they will be vice chairs. Because what if Beth was out and then Josh had laryngitis and couldn't run the meeting? What do we do? Now we know what we're going to do because Andrew Ashiafu, our outreach chair, has volunteered to be the second vice chair. Christopher Katz, our vice chair of communications, has volunteered to be the third vice chair. And in absentia, we are volunteering Melissa Taylor, our fundraising vice chair, to be the fourth vice chair. We did all discuss perhaps putting her in as number 2, but being absent from the room, that just seemed really inappropriate. So we did not, but she does get to back clean up in number 4. I see somebody highlighting that and hopefully maybe popping that into the chat so everybody can see that order. If not, I can definitely do that and will right now.
I just dropped it in, Beth.
Oh, super. Thank you. There we go. At least some of it. Can you drop again 3 and 4, please? I only got through 2. I don't know what happened.
I am seeing all of them, but let me do it again.
Thank you. I am, while we do that, I am very, very grateful to, there we go. That one's visible for me. So thanks. Very grateful to all of these folks who stepped up to run this year and have stuck with us for now month number 8 in a crazy challenging year to A, be a Democrat, B, learn new roles with a brand new chair who maybe knows what's going on and maybe doesn't. And C, to not be running scared from the room when things get busy or hard decisions have to be made. They're all amazing humans. I'm grateful. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. And I see Tim Burns has his hand raised. Hi, Tim. Do you have a question or a comment?
Hi, Chair. No, I have a motion. I
Tim, the
move
man of the night with the motions. Heck yeah, bring it on.
I move that we adopt the order presented.
Do I have?
Seconds.
Thank you, Ricky. So moved by Tim and seconded by Ricky. Is there any objection to the order presented that is in our chat and was in the agenda notice 3 and 10 days ago? Any objections? I mean, nobody's putting a mute on Andrew, Chris's box right now. They could, right away say, no, not me. But doesn't look like it. No members are saying no, and nor are they. So with no objection, I think we can take by acclamation our gratitude and appreciation to these vice chairs and the new ordering of their roles. Thank you. And thank you for helping us adhere to our own rules and bylaws in all new ways that we didn't even know we needed to do. But now we've got it covered. That was my bit of new business. And I noticed earlier, and actually wrote it down so I couldn't forget, that Robin Fleming from LD 32 had a piece of new business. Robin, I wonder if now is a good time for you.
Now is a great time. And thank you for allowing me to present this at the last minute. I guess what I'll do is I sent out an email this morning to the Democrats who I had email addresses to, which wasn't many. It's hard to find email addresses to state folks, but I had a conversation with my son last night who lives in California. He called me at 11:30, very alarmed. He's a Democrat. He got several mailers, one of which was from the Progressive Democratic chair of the California State Assembly urging Democrats to vote no on the initiative to temporarily redistrict California. This is shocking to me and dangerous. I think what I'll do is I'll just read the email I sent because I have some suggestions and questions about how we respond to this crisis that we are in. So what I said is, I wish to share a disturbing movement that is underway in California by progressive Democrats and other entities encouraging people to vote against a temporary redistricting initiative in that state as a response to Texas's unprecedented redistricting power grab in an attempt to rig the 2026 midterm elections. Please see the attached screenshot of a flyer sent to thousands of Democratic voters in California by the chair of the Progressive Democrats in California State Assembly. Such sentiment is dangerous and tantamount to capitulating to an authoritarian regime which is steamrolling over the U.S. Constitution, our rights, freedoms, and laws. This is not the time to get on high moral horses when our very rights and freedoms are at stake. As Pete Buttigieg recently stated, we are underreacting in a big way. Our meetings consist of business as usual while a 5-alarm fire rages all around us. While it is our duty to conduct essential business, and I must say, the business conducted tonight is amazing. I'm incredibly proud to be part of this hardworking, incredibly smart, incredibly committed group of people who do so much good work. So I need to say that. But we secure voting, we endorse candidates, all of these important things. I believe our coordinated response to the crisis we are currently in must be vastly strengthened and immediately take center stage at all of our meetings. Questions. What is our plan to respond to this stealthy and breakneck authoritarian takeover? How will we support and position candidates who can win? And by win, I mean King County in 2024, the percentage of King County voters voted for Trump at a higher percentage than they did in 2016 after he incited an insurrection and was convicted on 34 felony counts. That is alarming to me in terms of who we are as Democrats and who we put out there to be elected. How does our messaging resonate with the populace? Why should people vote for Democrats? We need to answer these questions. In what ways and how are we consistently coordinating our efforts with our local, state, and national parties? I would like to suggest that discussion of these critical organizing issues become a standing agenda item starting now and on all of our meetings, and that committees be formed to research and coordinate efforts. We are the hare in this race for continued democracy right now. Let's use our prodigious talents to mobilize to save our freedoms and our future. So that's straight from my heart. I guess my question, I see, Bunny, that you have your hand up, and I don't know if that's a comment or a question, but
it's a question, which is that does the person, the head of the Progressive Democrat, do they cop to it, or was it someone pretending to be them? It
no.
sounds like a
It's
dirty trick.
I attached a screenshot of the actual flyer. It is his name. He didn't come out and go, hey, somebody's mimicking me. No, he said that. He said it's
okay, he admits to sending it. Ooh.
Yes.
Of course, my first reaction if I received something like that would be to think that it was a scam.
So would I. I'm actually in shock that happened. I mean, that's like an intruder breaking into your home, putting a gun to your child's head, and you saying, I can't commit murder. Go ahead and shoot my child. I mean, come on. So I am really alarmed about this. And so this is why it's really a state and a national party issue too. But we're on the ground, right? We're doing important things with school boards and city councils and state legislator, our state legislature, our gubernatorial races, all kinds of races are very important that we're doing. And yet none of it's going to matter if everything is wiped out at the federal level. And so that is why we have to focus. We have to focus on winning, getting Democrats elected, electable people. We should not have had 4 candidates who didn't make the first cut. We just shouldn't have. So this is a come to Jesus moment, and I'm not a Christian, but it's here. It's here. We're dangling over the cliff. So I don't know, Madam Chair, what kind of communications the county is having with the state on this issues, what kind of organizing, what kind of coordinating is going on, what's going on in terms of how we need to shift our messaging, what's going on in terms of how the state is working at the national level. We need to all be, I know that Democrats come in a lot of stripes, but we need to be united right now in finding a winning path. And I just need to know what's going on and what we do to start moving right this second if we haven't done it yet.
Thank you, Robin. I too saw that, and Bryce thanks you as well. We share your outrage. Bryce does in chat, and I will with my voice, so it's on record and in our Zoom recording forever. I share that. I saw that action taken by the California Progressive Caucus, and was a little bit dumbfounded and didn't know how to respond. So I appreciate you giving thought to that. The whole concept of mid-cycle redistricting is a little bit overwhelming to consider that this was not a rule, but it was a common practice to only redistrict after the census. And to now see states just willy-nilly deciding they're going to chop things up again is mind-blowing.
My question, Madam Chair, thank you for that, is what are we doing about this? What are we going to do? What is our plan? We have to develop a plan right now. I mean, we have to get going right now.
Are you thinking for our own state or to react to California?
Well, both. How are we working in silos here? I mean, or are we really connected with our state party and our national party in terms of how we are approaching this emergency? And in terms of our messaging, in terms of our endorsements, in terms of our practices, in terms of speaking out against people like this caucus chair who just told thousands of Democrats to lose our country.
Right, right. At this point, we are not. All of this happened as our state chair was entering the DNC meeting. So we're in a moment of lack of communication.
Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not
So
good.
I
Yeah.
agree. And I think what I'd like to do is take this on as my to-do to address it, to escalate it immediately.
Thank you.
See how best for us to respond to protect our own state and also to support a nationwide effort to protect the sanctity of our party and our party votes.
I see that Carmen has her hand up, but
for this conversation, I have as a state committee member a response.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, it's okay. So thank you, Robin, and thank you for bringing that passion. And I would like to ask Carmen to address it from what she knows as being a state committee member. And then I see that Kat Pipkin also has her hand raised with a question. But Robin, I'd like to keep you on deck. Thank you. Okay, Carmen, you have the floor.
I'm so sorry. I got really excited because I love what she's talking about. So state committee meets in September, and resolution committee is also meeting in September, which I'm a part of. And so I missed her name, who was just speaking. What was her name? Miss Robin. Miss Robin. Miss Robin, if you would like to connect on a resolution or addressing this at the Washington State Democrats committee level, I'm happy to work with you on that and reach out to the resolution committee. And I will say that I believe Shasti, our chair of the Washington State Democrats, has been made aware of what's going on in California, but she literally just started the DNC meeting today. So I wouldn't say it's like a lack. I would say that we all just need to get on the same page because it's all just fresh information, but the state committee has been made aware. And I believe this will be a conversation, but if you want a formal resolution, Robin, reach out to me. I can give you I can message you my cell phone number and we can, or I can message you my email address, whatever, and we can sort that out. Again, Beth, I'm really sorry I meant to be like point of information. My bad.
That's okay. Appreciate your sharing that. And I feel a sense of urgency. Although the September meeting is 6 weeks away, I'd really love us to be able to act and speak quickly. Carmen, 4 weeks? 4 weeks? Super. Thank you for that heads up. But I'm feeling Robin's sense of urgency also. So I will partner with Carmen to get some attention on the issue quickly. And Kat, then Julie, thank you for raising your hand. Hi, Kat.
Hi. Doesn't address the broader, like, we need to do shit now. Sorry, YouTube, for using a cuss word. But I do have 2 actions I can drop into chat if that's appropriate. One is helping California Phone Bank to see that pass. And then the second is to urge our own executive branch here in the state of Washington to take more dramatic action.
I
If that's
appreciate
permissible, I'll drop those into chat.
Yes, please. And thank you. I appreciate that very, very much. That way we can all actually take action immediately. We have an avenue to go right now. Thank you, Julie, for waiting. I see your hand is raised. You have the floor.
I just have a question to clarify. So this would be, oh gosh, I'm having a senior moment. The the woman who was just speaking so eloquently,
Robin. Robin
Yeah,
Ford?
so is this the like a constituency caucus in California? Like we have a progressive caucus within our Democratic Party, which may be now called a council.
I believe
Or
so.
is this, say, for example, like the Congress has a, House Progressive Caucus? So is this a legislative progressive caucus or a constituency?
Feel free
The
to come
head.
off mute, Robin.
Oh, sorry. It's the Progressive Caucus in the California State Assembly. So it's similar to Congress.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
And are they saying what they're objecting to and why they think it's a bad idea? I mean, what
Oh
grounds?
my God. The flyer said something like, "We can't break the law." It's like, are you really going to bring a slingshot to a gunfight? What? I mean, I literally, like, I couldn't sleep last night. My son called me at 11:30 last night, very upset about this. And he got me all up, and so now I'm like, no, this is it. I mean, we're protesting, not enough, but we're doing protests, we're doing all kinds of things, but they are steamrolling us. They are steamrolling us.
Mm-hmm.
They're breaking our laws, they're disobeying the courts. They're and he is I tell you, I really worry about the midterms. I don't know where we are in terms of mail-in voting in our state or how we're working with other states on pushing back against this idea of his to stop mail-in voting, to militarize our cities so that people can't get to the polls, to harass people with identification. Less than half of United States citizens have passports. They're going to make that a requirement to vote. I mean, we are under siege. We have to fight hard. And the other thing is, against all those things, but the other thing is, I think we really need to start doing research and reviewing. I read a lot, okay? I read a lot. I was faculty at UW, and I was a researcher. So, but we have to review focus group data. We have to look at elections, why people are leaving our party. What candidates are we putting out there that people are not going to vote for? And Seattle is liberal, and Western Washington is liberal, and King County voted for Trump in a higher percentage in 2024 than they did in 2016 after he did all those horrible things. Something is really wrong.
I think we're all in complete agreement, Robin.
Okay, sorry. I'm
with you 100% following and agreeing. And I think that there's folks in the room who would actually like to join an action group with you. So yes, so I'm going to, especially since we're doing so well on time tonight, I'm going to offer that at the end of the meeting, we hold the meeting open to talk about taking action Kat already came out with 2 opportunities for how we can act and how we can encourage our LDs to act, which is really what KC Dems can do, is provide support to the LDs, which is where the power actually lives. So, so Robin, thank you very much for alerting me early in the meeting to this new business, and I'd like to continue the conversation a little bit later. Thank you very, very much. We are feeling your passion. Hi, Chris Porter. Haven't seen much of you tonight, but I'm wondering if you have an item of new business as we are moving on to the next item of new business.
No, I don't, but I just wanted to quickly comment that I am in full support of what was just said. And I had raised the same concerns the previous meeting, and it didn't get the attention that this is being given. But the point is, it's being given. And it's still how I feel, that we are sleeping while we're being bulldozed and not and out of sync with. We don't have a sync plan on how to counter this, and I hope that's what you're going to help bring together. Yes, that's all I have.
We hope that you'll be able to stay at the end of the meeting.
Oh, I will.
Continue the conversation with Robin. Thank you, Chris. Hi, Carolyn. Do you have a new business item for us tonight?
I just wanted to comment on the actions against the authoritarian takeover attempt. It's not just Trump. He's like the front man.
Right.
There
And you know
are
what, Carolyn, we agree with you. There is
Yeah.
a fleet of these folks, and I think we can actually like make a little hit squad for how to focus on each of those. So if you could plan to stay till the end of the meeting with
Okay.
that working group, we'll
Well,
be
I
able
want to say one more thing. It's not just public figures. It's rich guys that work in the background.
We agree.
Oh, good.
Completely.
Oh,
And
good. Because if it's just concentrated on Trump, which is worthwhile doing, we're probably missing the real
action happening. Yes. Well, we'll look forward to continuing that conversation in a little bit. Thank you. I appreciate it. Carmen, I see your hands raised, and I'd imagine that you have an item of new business. Thank you for raising your hand and waiting.
Thank you, Chair Baisley. Sorry again for speaking out of turn before. My apologies.
We're all adjusting. We're all adjusting, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to also, I have new business, but I also just want to commend Robin for bringing this up and being so passionate. We need more of that. And we are all activated because of you, Robin. Trust me. I promise you, we were going to be getting real activated. Okay. I promise. We're in this. We're all in this together. My piece of new business involves a D5 endorsement process. I'm happy to speak to this motion, but I really would like us to discuss endorsing in the D5 race and pulling in, and I would like to be motioning personally off the floor during this new business if possible. As a D5 resident for my entire life, and also as the 11th LD State Committee rep, I would like to motion and speak for Stephanie Fain's endorsement for the King County Democrats for the King County D5 race. And as one of the most progressive members of the King County Democrats, I hope my record speaks for itself. And I'm wondering if I should just jump into my speech now or if I should wait. No.
You should wait. You should
Yes,
wait.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So right now you've made your motion, and we'll wait for a second.
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 Thank you. Seconds. The good news is for our secretary, we've learned that the important thing is to note the name of the person making the motion and that there was a second. So y'all can shout it out. We're all good with that. We don't have to know who it is. Yeah. So seeing a motion and a second for a floor nomination of Stephanie Fain, I'd like to confirm before I ask for our rules do not limit the amount of speakers, but I would ask that speakers limit their comments to 2 minutes or less, and I'll be asking for a timer. But prior to going to comments for or against the floor motion of endorsing Stephanie Fain in the King County Council District 5 race, I wonder if the endorsement committee can confirm to us that indeed Stephanie Fain meets the ability for us to endorse by having turned in a questionnaire. And I would also like further information as to if she did interview with the committee as well. May I ask Dean or Kat to respond?
Sure, Dean, do you want me to take it or do you want to jump in?
You can jump in, Kat.
Okay. Stephanie Fain did in fact submit a questionnaire. She did also interview at the committee, but I'd like to, as a point of information, just note that she was nominated from the floor at the May meeting, and that vote failed to pass the 2/3 threshold. So I don't know now that we might need a ruling. I think I'd seek clarification on whether or not we're able to consider her nomination at this point.
Thank you, Kat. I appreciate your record keeping on that. I hadn't recalled it. I'd like to take a pause for a moment and ask our parliamentarian to refer to our rules to see if we have a limit. Are we able to consider a candidate more than once? So this candidate has been nominated from the floor for our endorsement, and I apologize for not knowing this piece of our ruling. our rules well enough to know if we're allowed to consider again. I can tell you for my LD, but that has no bearing tonight. So we'll just take a quick second, a little seventh inning stretch while our parliamentarian has a little look up. I think I see that next on the new business docket will be the LD 48 Chair, Katie Masuris. Thank you, Katie. And whenever Tara Gallagher wants to speak up, please feel free, but no rush.
Right. If we did not have an endorsed candidate make it through in that race, which is the case here, then the race is basically wide open and we start all over so we can consider either of the remaining candidates.
Even if the candidate has been voted upon by the body once before?
Yeah.
Great. Great, great, great. Thank you. I really appreciate you looking that up for us. All super important stuff. So at this point, I'd like to see a couple of hands for speaking for or not speaking for endorsing this candidate. Great. I see 4 hands so far. That's great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Tim, and again, thank you. It looks like Aaron perhaps has the timer prepped in his box, and we'd like to keep this to a maximum of 2 minutes. Bonus points if it can be a little bit less. Thank you. Okay, Tim, you have the floor for comments. Are you speaking for or against this endorsement?
I'm speaking against, Madam Chair. Ms. Fain did appear before the 30th District Endorsement Committee and was nominated from the floor of the meeting and was not endorsed by the 30th. Therefore, I have to follow my LD's action and vote against this endorsement.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciated. Thank you. Anthony, you have the floor.
Yeah, I'm speaking in favor. She is a good Democrat and good standing, and she's running against the Republican. If she can't get a nomination now, I don't know if she can get one. That's all I got.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. Thank you. And fellow LD 11er, Carmen Rivera, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair Beth Baisley. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, I'm a member or a resident of D5. I'm also on Renton City Council. I think many of you know me. I am a very progressive person. And so when I say this, take it to heart. I am supporting Stephanie Fain in this race. I don't do that lightly. All right. I'm not pushing my progressive agenda lightly. But here's what I'm saying. In this race, with who is on the ballot, we need to be strategic. And I've lived in a district, D5, that has historically been forgotten and left behind when it comes to progressiveness and democratic action. Okay. When it comes to progressiveness, there shouldn't be some sort of purity test. And I think that's one of the problems that even Rob and I think addressed a little bit in terms of like, we're not being strategic. And right now in this general election, we got to be strategic. We got a Republican endorsed candidate and we have one who's an actual Democrat. And I respect her. I've spoken to her twice. I've met with her twice on criminal justice, on juvenile justice, on minimum wage, on all of those things. She is the most Democrat in this race right now on these issues. She's a huge advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. She'll be an advocate for trans youth. That is what I'm looking for in a representative in my district. All right. And for anyone who's going to bring up anything else, I want to ask you something. I'm going to ask a little question. In 2016, in the general election of 2016, when it was Trump v. Clinton, who did you vote for? Regardless of who her husband was, regardless of how progressive she was or whatever, who did you vote for? Did you vote for Trump or did you vote for Clinton? Because I'm getting really to a point, and so I'm going to end on. Women are in charge of themselves. We are not responsible for our fathers. We are not responsible for our husbands. We are not responsible for anyone but ourselves. And I think what Stephanie has experienced to me is not fair or equitable for women of color. And I think just because she's not Democrat enough for some people is a really unfair argument. She has my vote, she has my support, and she has my endorsement. And so I would really hope that everyone here can vote for D5 because we need a Democrat in that seat, not somebody who's endorsed by Republicans. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you. Hi, Josh, followed by Hanan and Martin. Thanks, Josh.
Hey there. I'd like to speak against, and I hate to follow Carmen after that because she does raise a lot of good points. But first, and I think it's fair to say most of us, obviously do not support the other candidate for this position, but I will keep it focused on the candidate in question. There are a lot of raw and valid feelings about the candidacy of Stephanie Fain. And look, I'm not qualified to decide how close you have to be to someone toxic for it to matter. And obviously, spouses are not responsible for the actions of their partners. But what I can say definitively is that our endorsements committee extensively vets and interviews the candidates, including Fain, and they found they could not endorse her. And our endorsements committee is our most active committee, putting in tons of hours, the most hardworking committee I've seen. And it is not just Kat and Dean. It's representatives from every LD in King County able and willing to send someone. And I trust their judgment. An endorsement here after preferring two other candidates in a six-person race isn't exactly resounding anyway, and it is frankly kind of unnecessary in this specific case. Our endorsement would come too late to be in the voter's guide candidate statements and other materials, and an endorsement is just going to cause further hurt and division amongst us. Now, for those that want to support Fain's candidacy, more active support is probably the best route at this stage in the game, and I totally support that. Canvassing, LD endorsements, these are the ways to go at this point, and that's where the power of this body is at this point. And I support those folks that want to do that. But as for this body with this endorsements committee who found they could not endorse this candidate in this race, I don't think an endorsement is helpful, and I would vote against it and urge others to do the same. Thanks.
Thank you, Josh. Hanan, followed by Martin and Ian. Hi, Hanan, you have the floor. Working to come off of mute, Hanan. How about we'll hold Hanan until she's able to do that and move on to Martin. Hi, Martin Moore. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I do just want to provide additional information as well from the 30th Legislative District, and that's Stephanie has gotten the endorsements of Mayor Jim Farrell and also has been endorsed by our own State Representative Christine Reeves, one of our biggest rock stars in the county. And so, and I know that I have asked for our endorsement chair to review this endorsement, possibly pulling. Right now, the 30th district has endorsed Peter. I know there's members of the 30th that want to take that endorsement back. And so I've asked for the endorsement committee to review this because I know that we've gotten concerning information that Carmen has mentioned and others have mentioned of the possible endorsement or filling out the survey. So we're going to be reviewing that. And we've also, I understand that he was recognized as a rising star at the Roanoke Conference, which is part of the Republicans Conference, which is of concern. And so that's something that we're going to be looking at, possibly pulling that endorsement, depending on what our members in PCO say. And I know there's interest in the 30th membership and some individuals of the possibility of endorsing Stephanie Fain. So obviously 30th district is we're trying to be very impartial at this very moment. But I know that I personally have endorsed Stephanie as a former elected official. And there'll be a lot of other work that the 30th LD does. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Martin. I appreciate.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Hanan, wonderful. Yes, please. You have the floor. Oh, now you're on mute again.
I'm having issue as I want to read my statement, but in my car.
Okay.
I'm trying to say we're endorsed Stephanie. The 47 endorsed Stephanie. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're
okay.
Loud and clear. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Perfect. So I can read my speech. So I want to just read the statement from the mayor of SeaTac, Muhammad Eagle, what he said the best from the district. He said District 5 deserves someone who believes in them, will fight for them, and has the skill and character to lead. In these words, that person is Stephanie Fain. Personally, as a person in color, as a Muslim living here in the United States, where most of the time people like us feel and seen and heard, I believe Stephanie will be the leader who keep her door open for all of us, so together we can thrive and grow and truly belong to this community. That's why I'm asked follow King County to endorse Stephanie. We seen her. She will be the David of the Grove. The door will be open for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanan. I appreciate that. I see two other hands raised, Ian followed by Holly. Ian, you have the floor now.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to share a fun story from the 47th. I did want to note, it seems like Steph has a lot of support from those of us in South King County, particularly in her district, and I understand that perhaps in some other areas where we haven't gotten to know all of the candidates in other areas that might be different. But a really cool story from the 47th this past weekend, we had 3 levels of government candidates for 3 levels of government go out doorbelling. My wife, Laura Williams, for school board, Satwinder Carr for city council, and Steph Fain for county council. And they had a lot of fun talking to voters who had different questions about the different levels of government. And they plan to continue that plan through the fall election. So I thought that was a really cool experience. Wanted to share it. Thanks.
Thanks, Ian. That is a cool experience. I appreciate you sharing the story. Hi, Holly. You have the floor.
Hi, thank you. I just want to mimic what Carmen said, and that strategically we do need to have an endorsed Democrat on the ballot. Stephanie did send out kind of a letter about herself, and I just want to read a few things that she was saying about her opponent, and that he voted against supporting Governor Inslee's eviction moratorium. He voted to criminalize homelessness further. He opposed using COVID relief funds to ensure students had internet access for virtual school. He voted to block King County from opening additional homeless shelters. He voted against ESL funding, classes for immigrants, cut domestic violence prevention, and refused to support tutoring for refugee and immigrant students. He definitely is not someone that we want to support, and we need to put a candidate in, endorse a candidate that will not support any of these things that he did. She is a Democrat. She is proudly a Democrat, and she does support progressive values. So I encourage the committee to endorse.
Thank you, Holly. Chris?
Yes. So first, a quick question. We don't have an endorsed candidate in this race?
The easy answer is that the endorsement committee made a recommendation, and that was Kim Con Vaughn, and she was endorsed. And then from the floor came an endorsement, a dual endorsement nomination for Ryan McIrvin, and he was endorsed.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the primary, another floor nomination came up for Stephanie Fain, and that was voted upon, and she was not endorsed. So we've had 2 endorsed candidates in this race, but neither of them proceeded beyond the primary. So now we're looking at the certified primary results of Peter Kwan versus Stephanie Fain. And there have been comments on both candidates that you've just heard. And that's how we arrived at this situation.
Okay, so then my comment is, this is one of the conundrums I have within the party. We need to consider what is going on, trouble and work at all levels. And if we can't do it closer to home, then we are really in a bad situation. This candidate clearly sounds worthy. We can't just give away a seat. our fight begins at any and every level that we can. If we can't make this part of the fight, then we are really missing the point here. So yes, I want to be behind this candidate. Yes, we should endorse her. Yes, we can't. We need to have an endorsed Democrat in the party. And no, we can't just sit back and practically give away a seat. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the floor? I don't see any hands up right now. Hi, Mary. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Good timing.
Everything Carmen said, everything Holly said, everything Chris said. That's it.
Thank you. Well under the 2-minute limit. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Hi, Andrew. Thanks for raising your hand. You have the floor.
I just want to say that I know this is a very tough decision for some people, but I am very, very impacted by things happening on a national level. And my last line of defense is what I can control on county, local, and state. I'm very open. My medication copay on that Biden was $0, and now I have to fork out $2,500 monthly. So I don't. I care about who will stand by me, and we need to. If we don't stand for nothing, then we don't stand for nothing, and anything can come and control us. We need to. I'm in support of endorsing Stephanie Fain just because we need to have a voice in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Any other thoughts? Thank you. Hi, Robin.
Sorry to extend. I know nothing about this other than what has been spoken here tonight, and I'm troubled that districts did not endorse her. I've also been troubled by how Democrats are performing, and perhaps this is one of the reasons why. I'm getting the sense that she wasn't endorsed because of something her husband was accused of doing many years ago. I don't know if that's true. That's what I'm supposing. But given her opponent, and we can't have that. I mean, we can't have that. So the KC endorsement is very important. And I really appreciate what everyone said. I really appreciate what you said, Josh, and everyone. But I guess my view is I will have to vote for her. And I just looked her up and read about her online too. So thanks for indulging me.
Thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other comments? Any questions? This will be the second time this body considers this endorsement. In both cases, because it's a floor nomination, it will require a 2/3 majority. And I have seen in the notes that we do meet the threshold for being able to take a vote. So we have quorum, and that's really important. Very, very important, in fact. Without it, not even a possibility, no matter how amazing anything was. So that's good news for us. So in that case, I think that we can proceed to a ballot where we will again be using our green check marks to vote to have King County Dems endorse Stephanie Fain for King County Council seat 5 or position District 5, and a red X for not endorsing. And we will be looking for 2/3, and I will be looking for our tally and credential committee to tell me what that number is. Thank you, Alex, for doing math in your head. Mental math, not my gig. Appreciate you for that. I see a number of boxes. I do see one abstention. Thank you, Hannah, for showing us the coffee cup that we discussed early. I appreciate that very much. Anthony, I saw your green check. That worked plenty for me. So just want to do a shout out for Alex that Anthony's green check was fleeting, but it was intended to be there.
If I could, Beth, I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention as well. Earlier, I mentioned Tara lost her vote because the 46 had 4 people here, but they only have 3 now. So I believe she gets her vote back.
Ah,
Just so she's aware.
wow. Well,
And
very-
I didn't mean for my green check to be all glamorized. I need to do better with emojis, I guess.
And I just want to say, point of information, Stephanie Fain actually has 4 separate LDs
So
endorsements, right?
Carmen,
Right?
I really need to ask you to raise
Oh,
your
sorry.
hand to speak.
I thought everyone was speaking. I
It's a
apologize.
thing. I really need you to raise your hand to speak. Alex spoke independently because I've been conversing with him about counting the votes, and I want to make sure everybody's counted. So we're not in a comment section right now. That's ended, and we're in a balloting section. Thank you for appropriately using the chat. That's completely wonderful. And actually, definitely something I had a question about. So the first question in the chat, while we wait for the next couple of votes to trickle in, I think there's maybe not, maybe some, maybe not. If we could learn, perhaps somebody can put into chat what is quorum, and then what our totals are.
If I could, Beth.
Yes,
the
please.
Quorum from the attendance sheet, which is 59 max credential voters times 0.4 for 40% is 23.6. So 24 is needed for quorum.
Wonderful. That's amazing. And in fact, I would love it if we could make a note of that in the minutes. This is a really great lesson to us that I'd love to document. So we need 40% of our credentialed participants to reach quorum. And today that's 24. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I see a hand raised, and Ian, I'm going to assume that's about whether or not you can vote because I don't see you have a vote up. So go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that I had a vote up, and there you go. I see a few people with the coffee cup sign, and I just want a point of information.
Okay.
If this motion were to fail today, we would not be able to reconsider this again before the general election. Is that correct?
I would ask our parliamentarian if that is the case. That is my understanding. Thank you for that good question.
That is the case.
That is the case. Thank you for confirming that. Excellent question, and thank you, Tara, for knowing so rapidly. Okay, Alex, what you got for us?
So before that, Anthony said he was a yes. I don't see a check mark. I just wanted to verbally confirm that.
Yeah, I'm a yes. I just don't.
If that's okay,
that's
Beth.
the only check mark I could find. Where's the other one?
No worries. You got it.
Okay,
So-
thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry, I'll get better.
No, you're doing great, and we're super glad you're here. We're all learning together.
With Anthony included, that's 24 yeas, 12 nays, and 3 coffee cup abstains. So that's 24 over 36, which is exactly 2/3.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And thank you, everybody, for the lengthy discussion and for taking the vote. I appreciate that. Okay, I know that we have at least one more piece of new business, and I'd like to call on LD 48 Chair Katie Masuris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to bring a timely resolution for consideration by this body. I will paste the link to this draft resolution in the chat. You can just give me 1 second.
While you paste, it's noted that I forgot to say what the resolution, what was resolved by the vote. So I want to make
Oh.
sure I verbalize it in case there's folks listening and not able to see the screen, but the 24 yeas, 12 nays, 3 abstentions met exactly the votes needed, 24 tonight, to have King County Dems endorse Stephanie Fain. And with that, carries as always. The full weight of our endorsements means that we are all going to go out and work for all of our endorsed candidates. So everybody take a look at our endorsed candidate matrix on the website and schedule a time to go canvass for your candidates because they could use our help. Thank you for the interruption, Katie. I apologize, and the floor is back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I share my screen?
Yes.
I believe I can. I just wanted to ask if it's okay.
There you go.
I physically can. Okay. So on the screen and linked in the chat is the draft resolution denouncing the arrest of Mohammed Zahid Chowdhury and the demand for his release from ICE. I'll let folks have a look at this draft resolution, but essentially this occurred on Thursday during a naturalization interview for his U.S. citizenship. Zahid Chowdhury is the husband of a former endorsed by the 48th Democratic congressional candidate for CD9, and his wife Melissa and their 2 kids are anxiously awaiting news and word on his situation. His case had not moved much through the immigration process, even though as a decorated disabled Army veteran who had served and was actually disabled during a training exercise in Iraq, preparing to serve in combat, and confined to a wheelchair, he should have been eligible for expedited naturalization, but for whatever reasons, and probably due to his political activism, including being active in Veterans for Peace and speaking out against various wars that the United States has been involved in. The belief is that he is being targeted and unfairly detained and impeded from what he has earned as both being a peaceful legal green card holder, husband to an American natural-born citizen, father to 2 American-born children, and of course his veteran status and service in the Army, that he's being denied citizenship. So I would like to answer any questions if anybody has them, if that's all right with you, Beth, before I make my motion for the adoption of this resolution.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Does anyone have any questions about this? I tried to keep it short and sweet.
Tara, thank you for raising your hand.
Yeah, is there anyone that it is appropriate to send this to? I mean, often we send it to some electeds, like our congressional district, at a resolve that we ask for them to advocate for release. Is there anything we can do, anyone we can send this to push it besides just making the statement?
That's a great question. Because Melissa is very well connected, the appropriate folks are actually already trying to intervene on Zahid's behalf. So we could add it in here, but it is already occurring. So that's up to you if you want to suggest some edits in there to reinforce that, but it is already occurring.
Thank you, Katie. Chris, I see your hand is raised. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us. And you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question. Have we, as the King County Democrats, taken a broad statement opposing these detentions?
I don't believe at this point we have made a statement opposing detentions, these illegal seizures and kidnappings and detentions as of yet.
And I can answer from the 48th perspective. I modeled this resolution after a similar one for a different person who was taken into custody, and similar wording about how it's basically an overreach of the executive branch and is trying to silence non-citizens for political activism. So the 48th hasn't had a chance to vote on this particular one yet because of the timing of our next meeting is September 10th, and this meeting came first, so I thought I would bring it to this body first, and then carry it over to the 48th. But we have, at the 48th level at least, said some similar sentiments.
Thank you. I think I did. If I'm right, Madam Chair. I'm just a little bit want to be sure that we are not singling out one individual. I mean, all the actions of this administration are horrible, and what's happening to this gentleman is horrible and needs to be condemned, and he needs to be released. There are other individuals in the similar situations who are not as politically connected, and I think we need to somehow acknowledge that, as well as acknowledging what's happening with this individual.
Chris, thank you so much. I really appreciate your comments, and I'm wondering if you would choose to reframe them in adding an edit. This resolution did not come through a resolution committee. It's being considered tonight under our emergency and urgent resolution clause. Would you be suggesting with your comment that we add an edit to this that indicates "and all those inappropriately seized and detained," something to that effect?
Yes, I do wonder if it's going to be a lot more copy editing than just that simple statement, but I would agree with those copy edits as suggested by the chair.
Awesome. Chris, thank you, at least for that entry point of building on your statement. I appreciate that. Jackie, I see your hand is raised. Thank you. And you're on mute.
I know, and one-handed, and sorry, it takes me a little while to deal with this. So our 33rd executive board meeting is tomorrow, and we are also, our resolution is not identical to this, but it's very, very close. And the same, and so I sent out the information on my agenda to our executive board, and the same question that Chris raised previously about trying not to make it, oh, this is a great immigrant that's being, targeted unfairly, and try to sort of make sure that it did, that we did discuss the whole big picture about how injustices like this are occurring to individuals all the time that don't have the connections that others do, and that we want to make sure that we speak to that. And I was trying to look up real quickly, and because I'm one-handed, I couldn't find it. Because Melissa did send me information about who to address these demands to, and I confess I couldn't find it quickly enough to add it in. So because I feel the same way, resolutions really should end with a call to action or some end with something like that. So, and then I know the other two things that I wanted to raise is that there is a petition that people can sign that I put in the chat. And there's also a and I'll look it up as well and put it in the chat. They're trying to raise money for his legal defense. So I just wanted to call that to everyone's attention as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much, Jackie. And I see three more hands. Katie, I wonder if you're responding to that question before I move to Mary, followed by Carol Lynn.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So I think the link I put in the chat, everyone has the ability to suggest edits in this draft. So if you have something you would like to suggest, please go ahead and start writing, because we are trying to get to a vote ideally this evening on this. And if you have suggested changes, now would be the time, and you all have access to be able to do that. And the second response is the call to action here is the call for immediate release and naturalization of Zahid as a U.S. citizen. That is the call to action that we've chosen for this resolution. I agree they do need calls to action. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Hi, Mary. Thank you for waiting. I apologize for interrupting. I know that you were in order.
No, I just wanted to clarify or add a piece of information. I think there was a question as to whether any stance had already been taken on ICE, and it's not at the county level, but of course it is part of the state platform in the social justice plank that for-profit prisons or detention centers used by Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, ICE, for the detention of immigrants should be shut down. So that, could conceivably be part of the whereas content if it's relevant. That's all I got.
Thank you. Appreciate that for consideration, Katie. Thank you very much for editing as we work tonight. So helpful. Carolyn, I see your hand is raised. Thank you. Carolyn, are you able to come off of mute, or would you like to wait a moment?
There we go. There we go. There we go.
You got it.
Okay, so between the two be it resolved clauses, you could put therefore be it further resolved that all inappropriately detained, et cetera, like you suggested. In other words, that might be you could have an additional resolved clause for that. Concern about
Thank you,
people.
Carolyn. That's a great suggestion. And Katie, thank you for adding that if you're able to and still stay within the recommended limits for whereas and therefore clauses. I appreciate you guys knowing that important stuff. Jackie, thanks for raising your hand.
So the demand should be for the Department of Homeland Security to release him. That was the wording that I was looking for.
Well found. Well found. Thank you. That's excellent clarification. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm just scrolling through to see if there are any other hands up while Katie is actively editing the document. I would love to ask if it's important to members of the group to have this read aloud as opposed to reading it. Carolyn, I see you have your hand up. I'm wondering if it's a leftover or a new question.
No, it's a new one. I don't really like that edit where it's taking the focus off of Mohammed Zahid Chowdhury and completely wiping him out. He's already been wiped out, folks. Don't do it to him again. And I disagree with that change. And I really don't like that. That this is the focus of the resolution is first Mohammed Zahid Chowdhury and then all of the other wrongfully detained individuals, however you want to say that.
It's a lovely suggestion. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate it. Katie, I see you have your hand up and you are typing. That means you have 3 hands. I'm quite impressed. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm actually not typing. That is because people can do active suggestions. Other people are typing. I just was raising my hand to say that, yes, this resolution is supposed to focus on Zahid Chowdhury. It can include generalized statements, but that is not the resolution that I brought forward. That would be a completely different resolution. So I did put it as a comment, on that deletion suggestion in the title. And I want to make sure that, for this resolution that I'm bringing to the floor, it is supposed to be focused on Zahid Chowdhury. And, you know, if this body does not want to pass a resolution that does focus on him, you know, it can include broader statements, but if this body does not want to focus on him in this resolution, then this resolution shouldn't pass. We shouldn't be doing a complete rewrite. When I was saying suggestions are welcome, it's suggestions to add that more generalized and broader application of what has happened to Zahid as an example of an egregious overreach, which is why we're trying to put that into this language here, talking about the general case, talking about the rights of non-citizens to peacefully assemble, to speak out, to protest. So all of that was intended to broaden it. And if it needs more broadening language, that's great. But removing Zahid from the focus is not the intent of this resolution. Thank you.
I appreciate the clarification. That does make a lot of sense. Thank you very much, Katie. I see two more hands raised. Robin, followed by Tara. Hi, Robin.
Hi, I guess my question is for Tara. How many resolutions are we allowed?
In a way, an infinite number.
Oh, okay. We could do one just, you know, that's focused on Zahid, and then but edit it a little to broaden it, because it's not, I understand that, you know, she wants this resolution to be really focused on him, but I agree with Chris that this is a much broader issue, and so maybe we do two different resolutions.
I would recommend that. I would
Okay.
recommend that.
As long as we can. Thanks for answering the question.
Thank you. Katie, did you have a response to the question? And then we'll come back to Tara. Thank you.
Yeah, I fully agree on that approach. The reason this resolution fell under the emergency resolutions allotment for this meeting is because of his situation. So if you did want to do another one, a separate one that was broader, definitely you know, work with Chair Baisley to bring it in through the appropriate channels. This one is an emergency though, because he has just been taken into detention and he is in solitary confinement right now. Thank you.
Yes, that does make it a little bit unique. Thank you. And Tara, thank you for your patience. You have the floor now with your comment or question.
Yes, I just wanted to say that the resolution makes a stronger statement in general about the illegal detentions because it focuses on one individual. I mean, any news story is going to show you someone who is affected by whatever the topic is, because you can understand and relate to and appreciate the plight of one individual. And in this case, this one individual is an example, is a ripple in this terrible pond of what's happening. But to focus, first of all, yes, he really should be out. This is a hugely strong case. But secondly, it is the individual who stands in for everyone who has been detained, even though they have been following all the regulations, or who has been detained by being pulled off the streets. But I think it is stronger statement about the general problem by focusing on the one case. And I really would urge for that reason, as well as that is the original intention. I think it makes the general case focusing on the one individual.
Thank you, Tara. I appreciate that understanding and clarification as well. Hi, Josh. You have your hand raised. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo those comments and also say that I think it's, and part of this has probably been said before, it's also sort of a test case to show that it doesn't matter who you are, if you're politically connected, if you're a veteran of the armed forces, they're coming for you. And so I think this is a special case, and I think it helps illustrate a story that people can relate to. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Josh. And Jamie, thank you. I've seen your hand a couple times, and this time the floor is yours.
Yeah, so other people had talked about some of my other issues or thoughts on this, and I just kind of want to talk about what Katie had mentioned, and again, really kind of what is especially disturbing about this is that Zahid is held in solitary confinement. And to me, it's just, I mean, like the whole thing is just so shameful, but this is really just pours salt on the wound. And I'd love to see something in here in this resolution addressing that as well. If Katie would be amenable to that, that there's, we asked for his, you know, immediate, I mean, obviously we want him out immediately, right? But we want him immediately out of solitary confinement. He's a very social person, and this has just got to be crushing for him as
Absolutely.
well. Right.
Thank
So
you. Thank you, Jamie. And to amplify your comment and answer Kat's question in chat, the solitary confinement is a result of him being contained in a hospital unit. And those are interior solitary rooms with lights on all the time. So that's the hospital unit. Thank you. And thanks for the good question. And Carmen, I see you have your hand raised.
Just wanted to state my support for this resolution. Appreciation for it being brought to the floor. I encourage anyone who might be confused on why we're doing this specific resolution versus a more general one to Google and understand the specialty of this particular case. I agree on us doing two separate resolutions. And again, I'm just grateful, very, very grateful for this work. I will be voting in favor and I'm very supportive. I've worked in an incarcerated setting. Solitary is inhumane. Lights are on. It's very cruel. Hospitals also really bad. If you can donate to his GoFundMe, I know there's a GoFundMe link that I'm going to drop in the chat momentarily. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Carmen. I appreciate that, and thank you for adding it to the chat. Seeing as there's no further comments, I'd like to defer to Katie, who brought this forward, to see if you feel like you might like a minute or two to clean up the draft, or if you are, what can we do to support you as this came to us with urgency, and we want to make sure we deal with it with the similar urgency.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I've got it. I put Zahid's name back in the title, but it also contains those more general statements as suggested by Robin. Thank you for that. Some additional suggestions here that strengthen the general statement and make it broader. Also, I have taken some of the suggestions from the floor and tried to work them in. If folks want to take a minute to read through, and again, if you click on that link, you can make suggestions. Suggestion mode is on in this document. Let's give some folks, time to digest the proposed changes for a moment.
May I request that either Kat or Aaron, how about in this instance, thank you, Kat, put up a timer for 3 minutes. Thank you, Kat. And in that time, I thought I saw a hand come up, but it's disappeared again. So if you had hi, Kellen, thank you for coming back for me. You have a question.
For sure. I was just wondering whether we have an active motion on the floor for this resolution or if we have not yet reached that point.
Because it is not in, we could not edit once it is moved. We're completing our edits before we act on a motion to adopt. And that's an excellent question. Thanks.
No, I'm ready to go when you are, Chair Baisley. All right. Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, I'm so impressed with how collaborative this group is tonight and our careful and respectful sharing of thoughts and opinions and our timeliness. I appreciate you guys really doing a good job keeping comments succinct and understandable, because sometimes, wow, it goes fast and furious, and that just means an orderly meeting that's helpful for everybody, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you. So while we're all reviewing and Katie's accepting or otherwise some comments, as this is her resolution, as she mentioned, under our allowance for things of timely nature, and that's why it is focused on Zahid, because a greater motion or a greater resolution would be welcomed at a future date regarding these actions just in general. And as noted in the chat, the lack of due process, which is guaranteed in our Constitution. And we have about a minute left if anybody else wants to keep reading. And about another 30 seconds.
Are there any other suggested edits? I'm sorry to talk without being recognized, Beth. My children are staging a revolt in the next room.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Sorry.
The floor is yours. As, and I think we will call a halt to any additional edits. If you are satisfied with your emergency resolution as currently noted, we can proceed. And do you find yourself in satisfaction mode?
Let me accept all these changes and just give me just a few seconds to do that, and we'll all take a quick last look, and then I think we can move forward.
Appreciated. Thank you. Looks like you're on your last couple. Wonderful. I see that Tara has her hand raised, as does Carol Lynn, and I think Katie, you're ready as well.
There's something about this last one. Can I?
Yes. Would you like to speak to that with Robin?
Yeah, so we can't, I think we're at our limit with be it resolved. I believe it's 3. And this is an additional one, and it can't just be tacked on to the end of one of them. They have to be distinct ones. So unless you feel very strongly about including this, we have to cut this last sentence that I've got highlighted.
I guess I'd leave that up to the group to determine, because I think it's important to state that these illegal acts cannot go without repercussion. These people who are doing this need to be brought to justice and made accountable for the crimes they are committing. So I do feel strongly about it. But I understand there's a limit. So, I sort of defer to the group here on that.
Thank you, Robin. And I wonder if the resolution to hold those folks accountable um, might best be done in a formal resolution against this action being taken by Homeland Security and ICE agents as a whole. If it's going to bump Katie out of commission here. But before I come back to Katie, Carolyn and Tara have been waiting a moment, so I'd like to give Carolyn a quick moment for her comment.
Okay, I would like to see the title again. It looked ungrammatic. Resolution denouncing illegal arrests. He was only arrested once. Illegal arrest of Mohammed Zahid Chaudhry and detention by ICE of American residents and demanding their release. I think it should be a legal arrest, singular. And
so I think, Carolyn, that would be true if we kept the entire resolution to just Zahid. But if we mention Zahid and others being detained, then a plural would apply. Am I right?
That is not the point. The point is that the sentence is not grammatic. It's he was only arrested once. Okay.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. Tara, you have the floor.
Okay, well, I had several practical comments about the resolved clauses, but I have to agree with Carolyn. We don't have to put everything in the title, and right now the title is
unwieldy,
a lot and confusing. I would either take out the American residence parts or yeah, I mean, we mentioned them, but I think it might be better to just focus so that it isn't confusing. Going back to what I originally wanted to say, in the first resolve, the KCD calls for immediate release and naturalization, and then act in accordance. Who is it that we would like to act in accordance with due process? Because it's written passive voice, so it's very unclear who we want to act in accordance with due process, because currently the subject of the sentence is King County Democrats, and this is things we call for. Do we call for action in accordance with due process? Maybe is the easiest thing.
Katie, would you like to respond?
Let me take the first one. If we cut this part, it cuts down that title. Would this work for folks? If we just cut that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then
thumbs up.
the second part, yeah, I'm open to suggestions on how to rephrase that there, but I mean, I think people understand that we're asking that, all of the different moving parts of the US government that are responsible for immigration enforcement. So that obviously includes ICE, that includes Department of Homeland Security, that includes, a lot of these different organizations. It might be hard to nail down exactly which organization, but I do think that people reading this are not going to be confused about who we want to act in accordance. They're not going to think that it's King County.
Well, can we say and demand action in accordance, just so it is a little less confusing?
Or how about after and say
Jackie, you'll want to raise your hand.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah. And I got stuff in the next two resolves also. Sorry.
Okay.
Me too.
Thank you. On this one, Jackie had a suggestion. Go for it.
I was going to say, and that DHS act in accordance, because that's really the body that's doing all this, which is the Department of Homeland Security, which is oversight over ICE. So, and that DHS act. so that it's that same passive voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good suggestions. Kellen, did you have a question or suggestion to help clarify?
Beth, if it's okay, I'd like to make a motion, if that's
Can-
okay with you.
Not quite yet, but in a
Okay.
moment, 100%, I'll hold
No
you.
worries, no worries.
I'll hold you in my hand right here, ready for that.
Oh, thank you.
Can I finish with the formatting concerns?
I would like to confirm that Carolyn's hand up is an artifact, or ask if she had another question.
I have another comment.
Okay. Go right ahead, Carolyn.
All right. We further resolve that last thing that was added. I think it is more appropriately included in the second resolve clause. We further resolve that, well, maybe not we further resolve, and that those committing illegal acts and so forth should be worked into that second resolve clause.
Thank you, Carolyn. Lovely suggestion. Katie looks like is going to give that a try and see how it looks to all of us. And at that point, I'd like to come back to Tara. Tara, thank you very much for waiting. We're going to give Katie a second with her mouse and her keyboard to catch up with us. And then the floor is yours.
Okay, we can only resolve what we do, so further resolve that we demand, we request, we urge that detained people should be released. Further resolve that we state that all people and urge that those be brought to justice. Even further resolve, I'm a little yeah, that one's better. I'm a little uncertain with the first one, but that's be it further resolved that we demand all people be, I mean, what's demand? That King County Democrats demands all people of not all detained people, etc., should be released. But there should be, a King County doable verb in there, like demand. Up in the, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tara. And Katie, as this is your resolution, I'd like to ask now if you feel confident in the message you were bringing for King County Democrats is represented in this heavily workshopped version of your resolution.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it looks good to me.
I want to call your attention to one last comment that was in the chat, or maybe two. Take a quick look and make sure that it's possible it was 7 minutes ago and 4 minutes ago that they've already been resolved.
Those committing. I think they've been resolved according to the commenters.
Wonderful. Thank you, commenters. I appreciate it very much. Lots of angles to keep our eyes on to make sure we're comfortable with this. But Katie Masuris, chair of the 48th, brought this to us under our urgency clause for resolutions. It was not vetted by the resolution committee. But because this is a very recent detention and there has been widespread among King County activists action to demand release of Zahid Chowdhury, we felt that this was an excellent example, as Tara aptly pointed out, for us to bring a resolution forward as this example of what happens to somebody close to many of us. And it could be anybody in our close circles. And just imagining that this is your special person or a special person in your world is absolutely horrifying. So I'm delighted that that we're addressing it right now. Katie, if you feel comfortable, just want to tell the credential team that there is somebody in the waiting room. Been a while, but that's there. Then if you're comfortable, Katie, then I'll ask Kellen to come off of mute and make his motion. Good,
Thank you,
wonderful.
Madam Chair. I move that we adopt this important and wonderfully written resolution.
Thank you for that motion. And do I see a second?
Second.
Perhaps by Katie?
I heard a very quiet second, and I will also say second.
Wonderful. Thank you. I did not. So I appreciate that very much. Wonderful. It is moved and by Kellen Hord, the 45th LD, and seconded that we take a vote on this resolution denouncing the illegal arrest of Mohammed Zahid Chowdhury and detention by ICE of American residents and demanding their release. Thank you, everybody, for being very careful with watching the intent and the wording and getting it just right on behalf of our group. Katie, thank you for bringing it forward. I think it's important that we actually take a vote. So if everybody could look for their react buttons, please, and those in favor of adopting this, use your green check mark, and those opposed, a red X. And if you're just not sure and would like to abstain, that coffee cup is there for you. Abstentions are always available. Looks like we have most folks participating. I'll give it just another moment to see if anybody else comes up, and another moment for a coffee cup or an X or a check. And seeing motion has slowed down, I think that we can say that with a great majority, thank you, this motion has passed. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we can remove our X's. Before we move on to good of the order, is there any other new business this evening? Seeing none, I move on to good of the order. Anything of interest to share among our Dem friends and all of the LDs? I'll offer a reminder to come party with me with all these candidates. We'll be launching a serious number of canvases, and I'm really excited to see you guys all out there. There's nothing better than knocking doors. Hi, Andrew Ashiafu. I see your hand is raised. You have some good of the order for us.
Yeah, I just have some good news. I don't think I've announced it yet, but the last week of August, I started the last week of July, I started a new job with the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle. I'm their new director of advocacy and community engagement. So just wanted to share it out there.
Fantastic. Congratulations. I'm seeing a lot of Zoom level applause for you. That's wonderful. Wonderful. Congratulations, Andrew. That's great. That is great. Any other good of the order while we're all still together? Nope. No prime vacation spots that we should all be going to? No LD picnics with amazing things that we can buy in the raffle? Nope. I see one more hand up. Robin, I've not forgotten. We'll dismiss the meeting and then we'll stay on, but I wonder if you also have good of the order.
Nope, that was just wanted to remind folks.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it so much. Hi, Tim.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Thank you for that motion. And can I assume there's a second at least?
Second.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Awesome. With no objections, we'll assume by acclamation we are adjourned at 9:13, and the Zoom will stay open with me for sure, but our recording will